Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the No DQ live recap of Monday Night Raw for April 6th, 2020. This was the Raw after WrestleMania. I hate to disappoint you guys though, but this was not the Raw after WrestleMania that you would expect. Although I'm sure many of you felt going in this was not going to be like previous Raw after Mania events. First of all, this show was taped, and interestingly enough, this was taped before WWE taped the WrestleMania matches. That led to a very bizarre edition of Raw because what this show was, we had several lengthy matches with mid-card talents, real good matches with these guys because they were given time, but not much in the way of storyline progression. And then we had a lot of recaps from WrestleMania and a lot of interviews and segments that happened after WrestleMania took place, but before Raw, and they just aired on Raw. So it was a strange show, no doubt about it. Let's go ahead and discuss Raw, break it down. We kicked off the show with a recap of Drew McIntyre's win, and throughout the evening, WWE was teasing this breaking news regarding Drew McIntyre. Something went down after his victory over Brock Lesnar. Our first match of the evening was Osku versus Liv Morgan. Osku came out without the championship. Of course, she lost the title, but this was taped before WrestleMania. Liv put up a pretty good fight. Wasn't a squash or anything. Osku did eventually score the victory with the Osku lock against a very game Liv Morgan. We had a Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler recap of their match. We had a Becky Lynch interview from after the match talking about her win. She said that Shayna Baszler underestimated her. But if Shayna wants another match, Shayna knows where to find Becky. Then we had a Shayna promo from after WrestleMania. She was very upset, of course. She talked about the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat. And she promised Becky Lynch the agony of her, Becky Lynch's, defeat. Looks like this feud is not over. We had the Street Profits defending the Raw Tag Team titles against Angel Garza and Austin Theory. Yes, the two guys they already beat at WrestleMania. Why are these guys getting a rematch? I don't know. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, who is more over, Braun Strowman or Drew McIntyre? I would say Drew McIntyre at this point because he's got the momentum. Braun Strowman, maybe his title reign will be memorable, but I think the jury's out on that. Strowman, let's face it, he got the title because Roman Reigns backed out at the last minute. Drew McIntyre is a guy that WWE has been behind for quite some time now. Big difference between the two of them. Right now, I would go with McIntyre. And even with the fans, if you're just talking about fan support, I feel like McIntyre has more at this point. The fans love McIntyre, and he hasn't gone on the internet and said stupid stuff that got people upset with him. Anyways, Selena Vega interfered in this match. She grabbed Montez Ford's foot, which the referee saw. Referee called for the disqualification, and the three of them were attacking the Street Profits when Bianca Belair came out to make the save. Bianca cut a promo. She challenged Zelina Vega to a match, and after the commercial break, we had a match between Bianca Belair and Zelina Vega. Bianca in her promo officially declaring herself as part of the Monday Night Raw roster. We had this match between them, Street Profits and Garza and Theory were all still there at ringside. Things broke down. There was a huge brawl during the match. Referee called for another DQ. And then Montez Ford got on the mic and said, hey, his wife's there. Why not just make it a 6-person tag team match? They want the smoke. After another commercial break, we now had a 6-person match. Okay. Why not just do the 6-person match? I know why. I know the answer. It's just a rhetorical question. Clearly, WWE needs to fill time, and they're only allowing a few people into the Performance Center at one time. So WWE's attitude is, we have to bring these guys in small groups at a time, so we're going to maximize the minutes with them. Thus, we get a 35-minute segment with these people, stretched into 3 different matches. Like, it really doesn't make any sense. First of all, the idea of Garza and Theory getting a rematch when they lost doesn't really make any sense. It wasn't like it was a disputed finish or anything. It was just time filler. It was what it was, and it's because of the circumstances with the amount of people allowed into the Performance Center. Justin Brosnan with a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, hypothetical scenario. Imagine Drew McIntyre now, Lesnar in his prime, Kane in his prime, and Braun Strowman fight for real. How do you see that going? So we're talking about a real fight and not a scripted pro wrestling match. I would have to give that to Brock Lesnar if we're talking about a real fight. If you're talking about all those guys in a worked match during their prime, well, I mean, maybe Brock, maybe Kane, because Kane in his prime was an absolute beast. So yeah, that's a tough one to call there, depending how you're looking at it. If it's real life shoot fighting, I think you go with Brock Lesnar. We had the 6-person match. Bianca Belair got the hot tag after the guys went at it for a while. She pinned Selena Vega with the COD, or KOD. I like to call it the COD, whatever. Good match here, but we really did not need this stretched out so long. I would have been fine if it was just the 6-person match and move on to something else, but I get it. I get why WWE did it. Whatever. We had a Bobby Lashley interview following his loss at WrestleMania, and he talked about how maybe he needs new management or maybe he needs a new wife. Lana was not there for these comments. She walked into the room, he took off, and she just wanted to know what was going on. So guess we're getting the seeds planted for this breakup between Lana and Bobby Lashley. Jeff Meacham is here with an advertisement in the chat room. Make sure you guys follow him on social media and check out the Jeff Meacham Network. We had Alistar Black versus Apollo Cruz. Yes, Apollo Cruz is back on Monday Night Raw. I guess the storyline is that his contract with SmackDown was expiring, something like that. I don't care. This was actually a very competitive match between these guys. Once again, you got 3 hours of time to kill, only a few people allowed in the building at one time. You want to make the most of the minutes. This was a pre-taped show. You put all that together, and Apollo Crews got a lengthy match with Alistar Black. And it was longer than the Bobby Lashley Alistar Black match, which is pretty funny, considering the Bobby Lashley match was WrestleMania, the biggest show of the year. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, what will WWE do when with Lana if Rusev leaves the company? I think they'll still push her. I don't see WWE not doing anything with Lana. Quite frankly, I think they see Lana as the more important person to keep around than Rusev. I think they see more dollar signs with Lana than Rusev, which we've talked about Rusev many times. Rusev had a lot of potential, and WWE just squandered it. Rusev wasn't in WWE's plans. So when he got over more than he was supposed to, WWE had to cut him back down to size. Anyways, Apollo got a lot of offense on Alistar Black, got a couple of near falls during the match, but then Alistar caught him with the knee to the face and then hit the Black Mass to score the 1-2-3 over a very game Apollo Cruz. We'll see. I really do not buy this idea that Apollo Cruz will be meaningful again in WWE. I feel like this was just done because WWE needed to fill time and Apollo Cruz was available, so they did the match. Once we go back to normal, will WWE still give Apollo Cruz a competitive 15 to 20 minute match? I have my serious doubts personally, but we'll see. Maybe this empty arena era will give Apollo a new lease on life. We'll see. We had a Randy Orton and Edge recap from their match. Dylan Hensley with a $10 super chat. Thank you very much, Dylan. I really do appreciate it. He says, Yo, Aaron, just watched WrestleMania. Overall, I give it only a slight thumbs up. Just not good enough for me to watch WWE again, as there were too many bonehead booking decisions. I'm sticking with AEW. Well, fair enough. I think that WWE did a pretty good show overall. Yeah, there were maybe a few booking decisions that were questionable. But for the most part, I think under the circumstances, you give WWE a pass because they were in a very tough position, and I care more about being entertained than, oh, this makes sense, this guy's being buried. To me, everything is in a holding pattern, and it really doesn't matter until we get back to normal TV with crowds every week and WWE can go back to their normal storyline routine. Right now, it's just a matter of trying to keep the shows on the air with some kind of new content and keep the fans as entertained as possible under the circumstances. Justin Brosnan with another $5 super chat. Thank you for that. He says, I'm in Ireland, so maybe I got this wrong. Donald Trump mentioned Vince and Dana White. Are future shows, even empty arenas, supposed to stop? Well, there is a stay-at-home order for many states in the United States, including Florida, where the Performance Center is, and also in Connecticut, where WWE headquarters is located. But it looks like WWE is going to try and somehow work around that. AEW taped several shows in Georgia. I think they have enough content to last until late May when Double or Nothing is. Double or Nothing is very much up in the air at this point. WWE is still advertising Money in the Bank on May 10th. Everything's up in the air, and the belief right now is that this week and next week are going to be the worst cases of coronavirus in the country, the highest death rates, before hopefully things start to drop. But that might not be for another 2 weeks before things start to move in a more positive direction. Right now, everything's up in the air, but it looks like WWE is hell-bent on keeping the show going at all costs. We had Ricochet and Cedric Alexander up against Oney Lorcan and Danny Burch. The announcers really putting over this idea that Ricochet and Cedric Alexander are this new hot tag team. And they had a pretty good showing here. This was more or less just the showcase for them. Lorcan and Birch, enhancement guys, more or less. Ricochet and Alexander did some flashy moves together. Ricochet picked up the victory with the recoil. It was fun. I mean, I really don't care much about Ricochet and Cedric Alexander at this point, but seems like it might be a fun tag team for them. Gives them something to do. David says all four of them are jobbers. I mean, it's hard to take Ricochet and Cedric seriously after the way they've been booked the last several months. We had a recap of the Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens match. Like I said, a lot of recaps on this show. Kevin Owens cut a promo, which was apparently earlier today. My guess is that it was whenever the show was taped, or maybe when WrestleMania was taped. Who knows? Wasn't earlier today, April 6th. That's for sure. Kevin Owens cut this promo, unless Kevin Owens got a WWE camera crew to his home. I guess that's possible. But anyways, Kevin Owens cut this promo, said it was all worth it to finally get his WrestleMania moment. But now he's moving on to bigger and better things. He's here to stay on Monday Night Raw, and it's now the KO show. We had Seth Rollins up against an enhancement talent. I did not catch his name. I don't even think they showed it on the screen. He was a guy from NXT apparently, but I had no idea who it was. Rollins was visibly angry, upset about losing to KO. And it's just so weird watching this when you know this was taped before the WrestleMania match. Rollins won very quickly with the stomp. And then we had a return. You know, this is the Raw after WrestleMania. The announcers talking about how this is the reboot period. Everyone gets a fresh start after WrestleMania. Nia Jax is back. I know you've all been dying to see her return to WWE television. Psycho Jet Black with a $2 super chat says, Seth Rollins needs new disciples. Well, yeah. AOP out of action. Well, Razor had surgery, and the other guy is just out of action. Akam. He's on the shelf because his partner got hurt. Sucks for him. And Buddy Murphy got sick. So yeah, right now Seth Rollins is all by himself. We had Nia Jax making her return against Deonna Purrazzo from NXT. Nia Jax did a lot of trash talking and picked up a very quick victory. She hit the Samoan drop, and then she used Paige's DDT. Paige noted on Twitter that she gave Nia Jax her blessing to use that DDT as a finisher. No real change for Nia Jax. She looked exactly the same as the last time we saw her. Same hairstyle, same moveset, same attitude. Nothing different about her. I would have liked to have seen something different. I mean, anything. Different hair color or face paint or some kind of different attitude. At least she has the different move, I guess. So there's one thing different. Doing Paige's DDT. We had a recap of the Boneyard match between Undertaker and AJ Styles. I thought we were going to get a replay of this, but we actually got no replays on this show. We had a lot of recaps of matches, but no match replay from start to finish on this episode of Raw. We had Humberto Carrillo versus Brendan Vick, or whatever his name is. Brandon Dink, Vink, Frink, whatever. Humberto picked up the victory pretty quickly with a top rope moonsault. Don't really care about Humberto, so I'm like, whatever. We had a recap of Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, their match at WrestleMania. We had a Charlotte interview air from after the match. Charlotte said that it's the woman that makes the title. She said Rhea Ripley was all right, but like everyone else, Rhea Ripley bowed down to the game. Whoops, I mean the queen. We had a recap of Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. Drew, of course, winning the championship. And we ended Raw with this breaking news of what happened after WrestleMania ended. So apparently, 20 minutes after WrestleMania went off the air, Drew McIntyre came back to the ring for a post-match interview. He had the title around his waist. He talked about how he hasn't had a chance yet to talk to anybody. He had to pinch himself so he knew that this was real. He got the plates changed. That helped him realize that, yes, he is the new WWE champion. He gave Paul Heyman thanks. Believe it or not, Paul Heyman played a role in motivating him to beat Brock Lesnar. And he knew he had to claymore Brock Lesnar as many times as possible to become the champion. And then all of a sudden, well, it's the Big Show. Big Show comes out with a referee. Big Show cut a promo on Drew, said he's a big man, but he's no giant. Big Show wanted to fight, and he said the title doesn't have to be on the line. Drew can name the time, the place. Big Show wants a piece of Drew. Drew responded by saying he will fight Big Show, but he's not going to fight him right there because he just got through that grueling match with Brock Lesnar. He wanted to know why Big Show was dressed to compete. I thought it was kind of obvious with Big Show coming out there with a referee, but he asked the question, and Show responded by saying that Drew is a punk for not wanting to fight him right there. He sees fear in Drew, and Drew said he's not going to fight. There's nothing Big Show can say to make him fight. Big Show then slapped Drew in the face, and Drew was like, ring the bell. We had a match, and the graphic on the screen said, for the WWE Championship. I'm not sure who determined it was a title match, but it was a WWE title match 20 minutes after Drew McIntyre beat Brock Lesnar. Now, the question is this a Raw match or is this a WrestleMania bonus match? How do we label this? Let me know in the chat room what you guys think. We had the WrestleMania logo in the background, so I would think that this is actually technically the 19th WrestleMania match. Like, I'm not even sure. Like, my brain just hurts. I don't think you would consider this to be a Raw match, right? This is a WrestleMania bonus match. We had the two of them going back and forth. Mr. Anderson says a WrestleMania bonus match. Jeremy with a WrestleMania bonus match. Big Show came close to winning the title here, to the point where people on Twitter were freaking out, thinking Big Show might win the championship. Big Show was trash talking. Heel turn number 578th for Big Show. Although I really don't know if it's a heel turn, but screw it. We're just going to call it a heel turn. Big Show said, I've been here for 4 decades, and what are you made of? He was doing all this trash talking. Then he hit the choke slam to Drew McIntyre. Great near fall here. I almost bought it for a second, then maybe Big Show would win the title. Man, imagine if Big Show won the WWE title on this show. It just would have been a disaster on Twitter. Like, man, it would have been brutal. But anyways, Drew did kick out. Big Show went for the knockout punch. However, Drew moved out of the way and then hit the Claymore kick to pin the Big Show. His first official WWE title defense, successful against the Big Show. And I guess it made sense to have Big Show as Drew's first challenger because the Big Show's new Netflix comedy is on Netflix. So this was a way to promote it, get Big Show's name in the headlines. So I get it. Makes sense. And in a way it worked because people were thinking that Big Show might actually win the title here. So I thought it was fine. I know some people just dreaded it. The whole show, though, was weird to me. It definitely did not feel like the usual vibe of Raw after WrestleMania because it's all about the crowd reactions, and you did not have that for this. Bianca Belair, the only new NXT call-up, and even that happened pretty much at WrestleMania, so it wasn't a surprise or anything. Nia Jax returning. Other than that, and Big Show, no real surprises on this show. A lot of squash matches and video packages. We did have a few competitive matches. It was all right. I'm not going to do a letter grade for it until we go back to our normal shows. It was an okay show, but not really something you need to go out of your way to see, in my opinion. That was Raw, everybody, and thank you all for checking out NoDQ.com and supporting the website. If you guys would like to continue supporting the website, other than spreading the word, please go over to NoDQ.com/merch, pick up a shirt. Use the code now, MANIA, for 25% off your order. That code will be expiring after tomorrow, so make sure you guys do it while you still can to get 25% off. Dylan Hensley with a $5 super chat says, WTF, just found out Tyson Fury is going to face Drew McIntyre for the WWE title. Why not build up a mid-carder? Jesus Christ, can this stupid company do anything right? It's all about the money. If Tyson Fury's available, I mean, he's a hot commodity, and if WWE can get him to do a match, I guess they're going to make that investment. I do not have a problem with it if Drew goes over, but the question is, will Tyson Fury lose a match even though it's a work? Would he lose a match to Drew McIntyre? That's the question. But yeah, they definitely seem to be planting the seeds for that. Maybe the next Crown Jewel event. I'm sure people will be thrilled about that. Yeah, lots of negative responses to that, but I get why WWE would want to do that and maybe give Drew the rub. And if Drew beat him, I actually don't mind. If Drew was going over Tyson Fury, of all people, that's a pretty big deal. Mike Garcia with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Mike. He says, ever rewatch Raw and pay-per-views from the early 2000s? Suggestions. Jeff Meacham and I did a video, top Raw matches to watch before you die. Look it up on my channel. We cover a lot of Raw matches. A lot of the early pay-per-views from the beginning of that decade, I highly recommend. Like that period of Raw, the beginning of 2000, when the Radicals came in, the Royal Rumble pay-per-view, WWE was red hot around that time, so I would definitely check that out as a starting point. And then that Raw where Chris Jericho beat Triple H for the title. That whole period, that first quarter, other than WrestleMania being a bit of a disappointment, No Way Out was really solid. Backlash, which I thought was better than WrestleMania. Judgment Day, like that period was really strong. Great storylines, characters, in-ring work. I mean, one of WWE's best periods ever. So that's a good starting point. Anything from that period. Hoof-Hearted with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, WrestleMania set an all-time attendance record of 0. Too bad WWE did not have enough of a sense of humor to announce that on that show. I think they should have. They should have, just for shits and giggles, put up the graphic, new record low attendance of 0. But I guess they wanted to keep it serious other than the cinematic matches, so they didn't do that. And let's see here. We have a $2 super chat from Justin Brosnan again. Thank you, Justin. He says, would you ever do a live Q&A about you personally? I've actually done one before. I did it on my personal channel, which is youtube.com/AaronRift. It's littered with cat videos, but I did do one video on there. It really didn't get a lot of viewership, but I mean, if there was demand for it, I would consider doing another one. Let me know what you guys think in the comments on the YouTube video. And subscribe to that channel, youtube.com/AaronRift. If enough of you subscribe over there, maybe I will. Ken terminated by Google with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it. He says, did you get a WrestleMania 9 booking vibe after Raw? If Big Show won the title, I would be truly pissed if Vince gave McIntyre the Christian treatment 2011. Yeah, I was definitely thinking that, and clearly we were not the only ones because so many people were freaking out that Big Show was maybe going to beat Drew McIntyre. But to me, that's the sign it was a good idea to do it, because people thought Drew was going to get screwed out of the title right after winning it. So I did like it for that reason, the fact that people got scared about Drew losing the title. TR Sega with a 200 yen super chat, thank you for that, says, why does WWE degrade fans with the vocal minority? WWE does what they want to do, and they will pick and choose fans that they want to listen to. But like Vince always says, Vince, in his mind, knows better what's good for business than the fans do. Vince knows what the people want better than they do. That's his philosophy. But I think WWE tries to listen to the audience as much as possible. It might not seem that way at times, but we all have to keep in mind, WWE caters to casual fans for the most part. We did see the Firefly Funhouse, which was definitely something for the hardcore fans, but when Roman Reigns gets pushed really strong, it's because Vince feels Roman Reigns connects with your casual audience, connects with the kids. And WWE's trying to sell to the kids. That's how you build the business. You have the kids become fans, get them while they're young, just like the Mafia, and then they grow up and they have kids, and the cycle just repeats itself. Let's see here. Keith Johnson with a $2 super chat says, Aaron has review videos from WCW and WWE pay-per-views. That is true. I actually did review every single WWE pay-per-view. All of them are on the channel if you look it up. So if there's a WWE pay-per-view you're curious about, search it on my channel. You should be able to find my review of that particular show. I think I might have done them in like segments of 10. So it might be Aaron Rift reviews the B pay-per-views of 2005 or 2006, something like that. But there's a lot of videos. All those pay-per-views I covered. I went back and watched all of them. I don't think I would go and do that again. So some of those pay-per-views, my memory is a little foggy. But yeah, you can check it out on the channel. And thank you, Mike B, for checking out the other channel. He was already subscribed, but maybe some of you that haven't subscribed yet, youtube.com/AaronRift. And if you know anybody that likes cats, make sure they subscribe to that channel. If they're not a wrestling fan, but they like cats, they'll like my personal channel. The Game is on 100 with a $2 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, we all know undefeated sports stars will win in WWE. Yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't see the point in doing the match if Tyson Fury is not going to put over somebody. But will he really do that? It's funny because wrestling's a work, so does it really matter if he loses? I mean, sports fans know wrestling's not real, so why would they care if he loses a worked pro wrestling match. But I guess, the illusion matters to people. It still matters in 2020. And there's ego involved, as silly as that sounds. And politics and all that stuff. It's just crazy. Like, why would it matter if Tyson Fury loses a worked pro wrestling match to Drew McIntyre? But I guess it would. So yeah, I would not do the match if there's a scenario where Tyson's not going to do the job, and you don't want to make Drew look bad by having him lose to Tyson Fury. So I don't know if WWE should book it or not, but we'll see what happens. Stranger things have happened, that's for sure. 2020 has already been a wild year. Psycho Jet Black with the $2 super chat, thank you for that. He says, why do both of your channels have the same name? Because I'm lazy. Well, actually, Google is very weird about usernames, and I can't even change the username for the No DQ channel. I would like to just change it to No DQ DOTCOM, but I couldn't even do that. So yeah, Google is glitchy and messed up, and I'm too lazy to try and fix it. Like, you have to go through a big song and dance to make any changes with your Google account, your name, and all that stuff. And I'm afraid, quite frankly, I'll mess something up with the channel trying to edit something. And Google has no technical support, so it's like, you're on your own, kid. Dylan Hensley with a $5 super chat. Thank you very much for that, Dylan. He says, if WWE insists on being sports entertainment and not wrestling, then they need to do more stuff like the Boneyard and Firefly Funhouse matches to be different. Well, they may end up doing more of those matches, especially since they got great responses for the most part. I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but they did go over well. I don't think WWE should overdo it, however. And good night, Stephen Osborne. Thank you for stopping by in the chat. I think if WWE does it every once in a while, it's great. But if they started doing these types of matches every single week, it would get old fast. I think what made it fun was that we don't see stuff like that too often. It was a novelty. It made WrestleMania special. If you do it all the time, then those segments at WrestleMania would no longer be special. So I think WWE should do more of them, but I think that they should be done in moderation. Maybe one every couple of months. They may do them more frequently right now under the circumstances, but once things get back to normal, if you want to do one every 6 months, then that's perfectly fine with me. I'm all for it. Justin Brosnan with a $5 super chat once again. Thank you, Justin. Says, do you watch the Jim Cornette Experience or the Drive-Thru podcast? I must admit I really enjoy him. He is very critical recently of WWE, though. I've heard clips every now and then, and yeah, he's an entertaining guy, but he is very negative about WWE, and it gets to the point where enough's enough. There's only so much of that I could take. I feel like I could take Jim Cornette in small doses, but if I had to listen to him for 2 hours, I would probably want to blow my brains out, quite frankly. Like, I just can't handle constant negativity, and he is just very angry all the time, and it gets to be a little bit too much. But some people like that. Mike Garcia with a $2 super chat says, your thoughts on the Triple H and Rock Backlash 2000? Enjoy it? Absolutely. I highly recommend that. And Steve Austin came back for that, even though he wasn't ready to return yet. He was recovering from neck surgery. But I love the storyline with him coming in and the tease, would he help The Rock or not? I love the SmackDown, if you're looking for something fun to watch. The SmackDown right before Backlash where he destroys the DX Express. That's a really good SmackDown. Check that one out for sure. We're coming up on 20 years since that. Crazy. Alex James with the $2 super chat says, keep doing work, Aaron. Virtue sucks with the kissy face. Well, I'm sorry you're not a big fan of Virtue, but if Virtue was here, he would call you a mark right now. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you all for watching. And see you on Wednesday night for AEW and NXT. Big night with AEW and NXT, especially NXT, because of the takeover matches that we'll be getting, Ciampa and Gargano, as well as that ladder match. Going to be a really fun night. See you guys then. Thank you all. Appreciate it. And I'll see you all next time.